Mark Loftus, and in this Post TV podcast, I catch up with director Akiva Schaffer, who recently completed work on Paramount Pictures' new film, The Naked Gun, starring Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. Schaffer, who is also a co-writer on the project, details the production and post process, the film's visual effects needs, and some of the films that inspired its look. Akiva, thanks so much for your time.
Of course, happy to be here.
It's always great to speak with a director and hear about the production and post-production process. I'm hoping you'll share some details with us.
Certainly.
Cool. So I saw the film and I read through all the production notes. And obviously, the film has a very LA theme to it. But I saw in the credits that there was some shooting outside of LA, I guess Georgia, I saw, and even Quebec. I don't know if it was film commissions or incentives. Can you tell me a little bit about the shoot, how long the shoot was, where you were, and how you kind of spent your time?
Yeah, the shoot, the Quebec one, we did not shoot in Quebec. That is visual effects, and not even all of them, but some of the places that we used are based up there. So that gets put there.
Understood. Mhm.
And then but it is an LA movie, because you were a film place. I'll just tell you everything. I really wanted to shoot in LA as an LA movie, but what has been so much of the conversation recently about how the incentives were so hard to get. We applied for the LA one, couldn't make it work, didn't get it, and it immediately ruled out LA. And so I'm hopeful for the future with that new thing that just got signed that, it can be better, easier. I had gotten that thing on Chippendale Rescue Rangers. I had been able to shoot here, and a movie we produced, Palm Springs, we were able to shoot here. So it had worked out for us in the past. But anyways, so we went to Atlanta.
Was there
Uh,
any LA shooting, or was it?
yes, there
There
was. There
was.
was some
Okay.
LA. We basically went to Atlanta, shot all the interiors and every exterior we could get away with, and then we came back to LA and shot some in LA as well. And that's
Okay.
why the credits are very long, because there's a first unit Atlanta, second unit Atlanta, first unit LA, second unit LA. So it's like you
Okay.
have to have 4 movie credits plus all the VFX. So it just goes on and on.
Yeah. How many days was the shoot?
The shoot, oh my gosh, I think it was 40 days as planned. And
Okay.
then with some of the LA stuff, that probably got up to like 44.
Okay. Okay. And obviously, I read the notes, and I know that you wanted it to have a filmic look, but these days, often they're not shooting on film. Your director of photography, Brandon Trust, do you rely on him to kind of suggest what cameras and lenses? Do you have an idea yourself, or?
No, I definitely rely on him. We're both, we've worked with him a lot on various things, starting with a movie that I was an exec producer on, but Yorma directed. He's one of my Lonely Island guys, the 3-man comedy group I'm part of,
Hmm.
and called MacGruber. And that was when we met Trost, and that is in a similar genre to this, in fact. But he also shot Pop Star for us, and he's a fan of the same touchstones that I was trying to kind of make this look like. So I had pulled a bunch of reference, uh, early Tony Scott, like Top Gun and Beverly Hills Cop 2, things
Hmm.
where you feel the atmosphere and it was shot on film, and their sun-baked LA noir kind of vibe. But also, I had recently watched all the James Bonds in order, just because I did,
Okay.
uh, before signing on to this, but it proved to be great research for this. And at Tomorrow Never Dies, it hits this real sweet spot where it looks like a modern movie. It like takes this leap forward, but it's still very much shot on film and nostalgic, but it looks epic and big. And so that was the one where I was like, that's the look. So I pulled a bunch of screen grabs from that. And then in terms of more modern movies that were shot on film that look amazing, like Casino Royale and Mission Impossible Fallout, those were kind of like between all of those is where I was trying to aim, but not shooting on film, unfortunately, but trying to get as close as we could using, you'll have to ask Trost what they were, but we definitely shot the large format Alexa to try to get that extra thing. And then he pulled 90s Panavision lenses that were the same ones. I'm trying to remember if it was the same one. You'd have to ask him. Same ones
Okay. Okay.
from
No,
Beverly Hills Cop 2, not the literal same ones, but the same ones, same type, or maybe from Tomorrow Never Dies. Like we just went and got the actual anamorphic lenses they used and
okay.
showed it
Excellent.
was the same
Excellent.
ones.
And obviously, the editing on this plays a huge role. I know that you wanted to
Yes.
get as much in camera as you can, and a lot of that comes down to performance. But that very precise editing is what makes some of the comedy successful, and those little musical cues that kind of are zingers underneath it. Can you talk about the editing process once you're done shooting? Are you looking at the edit all during production, or are you pretty much just focusing on production and knowing that you're going to work on editing once production is wrapped and dedicate time to that?
In general, I'm the second guy where I just shoot and I don't look at anything.
Hmm.
This one though was a little different in that uh, there were certain scenes where we were so rushed just because of trying to get it done in 40 days that I did want to see how it was cutting together just to make sure
Hmm.
everything. And there was just stuff I was excited. Like we shot that bank heist, the first scene in the movie, the first 2 days of the movie.
Okay.
So I was just like, let me see what that looks like. Are we nailing this? And then also the editor, Brian Olds, he was my editor on Chippendale Rescue Rangers. And we had made that during the pandemic, and we had really come up with some very good ways of remote editing together, not just the standard like using Evercast or Clearview, where you have to be fully engaged, but also using things like Slack or Microsoft Teams that are, studio approved and secure, but to quickly send things back and forth. So
Hmm.
we had a good mode of remote looking at things, which I
He's in
think
LA working while you're in Georgia.
correct.
Okay.
And because we had that shorthand, I had never had that before where it felt more effortless to be like, yo, yesterday I shot these three things. Will you put them in a row and send them to me when you get the dailies in today? Because we're still on that same location and I want to make sure I don't owe an insert shot of his hand or something. Like
Hmm.
just little things that I wanted to check up on along the way.
Hmm.
Um, where sometimes I'd even film playback and then text it to him through the safe way to give it to him. So we didn't even have to wait for the dailies where I would like, or I would literally get playback to airdrop it to me and then I would quickly through a secure server send it to him. So we didn't have to
Hmm.
wait for dailies sometimes to quickly give me an edit of something just so I could make sure I didn't need something before we broke down a set and
Right,
moved to
right.
somewhere else.
Did you
Um,
shoot linearly? You mentioned the bank heist being up front, but did the film go head to tails, or you
no,
obviously the
no.
music video sequence is an entirely different, you know, setup than the rest of the film. So
You mean
what
like
was
the
that?
love montage?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, that I mean, you shoot all at once, but no, the rest was not linear in any way. Just the bank, and I think it just happened to be that that's the day we could get the bank on a Sunday. Oh, you know what it was that the bank was open on weekdays, so we
Oh,
had to shoot the bank on a weekend, and because schedules want to go Monday through Friday, you don't want to make everybody work on weekends for a whole schedule. It was the bet either it had to go at the very end or the very beginning of the schedule, so you could basically shoot it and then stop and reset to be on a normal schedule. So
okay.
that's what made it free first.
And on the editing, once production is wrapped and you do have time to sit down, where is the editing taking place? Is it space for rent? Are you at a studio or
We were in both, space for rent at Paramount.
at Paramount? Okay. And are you sitting with the editor for the duration, or are they kind of working with the script, coming up with it, and then you're checking in with them? How close are you with the editor? And when do the sound cues start getting in there to kind of amplify the comedy elements?
Well, the sound is right away.
Is it? Yeah.
I am involved from frame one in sitting there because when I worked at Saturday Night Live, we made all these shorts and I edited along with Yorma every one of them. We never used an editor, and we made over 100 shorts. So I'm very well versed in editing myself as well. And so Brian and me almost operate like an editing team in terms of passing scenes back and forth, like a lot of for the first round of editing, as opposed to slowing him down and sitting there nitpicking each thing before we even have the whole movie.
Hmm.
Gets the assembly together, and then we sit there in the morning and like watch a scene, and I give him a bunch of thoughts, and then I go in the other, and then I go watch a second scene and go, all right, I'll take that one, and I go in the other room and start editing that scene, and I do it in Premiere while he works in Avid, so
I
I'm
was
never
going to ask
actually
you, yeah, what you're using. It
because
seems
I know
every.
Premiere from Final Cut Pro days and
Hmm.
from SNL days when it switched to Premiere, but I don't. I'm so slow and Avid that it always messes it up. So he's still the only one that edits the movie ever. I
Hmm.
never touch the movie. I have a premiere thing in the other room with dailies, and he'll start tackling one, and I'll go in the other room and start tackling on. But basically, sometimes I'm almost using the premiere as just a way to watch dailies fast and make selects, as opposed to like going back into picks or sitting with an assistant at another Avid. It's a way I can just get my hands on it and quickly click through clips, finding all my favorite moments.
Hmm.
And then a lot of times I'll even assemble that and then shoot it back into the Avid, and then we tackle it together again.
So
But it's a
he'll
way,
use your cut as a reference for what you're thinking.
exactly, it's a
Hmm.
faster way to do what someone might do where they would like go in another room and write down, use take six, then use take five,
Hmm.
then cut this 5 frames. It's like, no, no, I don't have to, I can edit, so I don't need to waste time with all that. Let me just get in there, get everything how I want it, and then shoot it back into the main system. And but I'm leaving, it's not polished. Then it's going in there, and then he's going, okay, got it. And then he's getting it in there and adding music and making it into a movie, the
Are
real
there a
edit.
lot of takes? Are you shooting multi-camera or is it single camera and you're just choosing the takes, the best performances?
Scene to scene, obviously, but we
Yeah.
always usually have more than one camera going.
Do
But
you? Yeah.
it's
Okay.
not a lot of cross shooting. If I'm on Liam, I usually would have a close up and a medium, or a medium and a wider one, or like if it's two guys standing, two of a two shot, then I have a two shot and the other camera's getting a single, and then getting a single of the other guy. I always wanted two cameras, and some days three if I could get them, if we could afford it. It's
Okay.
just yeah, the you get into trouble sometimes when you're trying to cross shoot because then you can't light as well, But
Hmm.
if I could get away with it, I would.
Okay. On the visual effects side, there are some of the obvious visual effects, the binocular sequence, the music video, romance sequence has some stuff. Even the credits, there's visual effects there. What were the visual effects needs? I know that there were a number of different studios. I think Outpost was one of them.
Yes,
Rebel,
you'd
I
have to
think,
talk to Ashley Bettini to get the full rundown because that's she was our visual effects supervisor and
supervisor.
our visual effects producer. She wore both hats to get it and did it all. And she assembled a cool little team of in-house people to handle like as many shots as could be handled because they're on a salary. So you
Okay.
have to pay on this is pretty standard for movies, I would say. Everything I'm on, you always have a few people that you put on salaries so that all the, split screens and little fixes and little paint outs can be hopefully handled in-house at a
Hmm.
cost as opposed to always sending it out. And then the bigger things go to places like Outpost. And you really should talk to her so we can properly credit.
Okay.
There's a team in Prague that handled a lot of cool stuff, and I'm just gonna blank everyone's names.
Okay. No, no sweat.
Um, uh, but
Obviously,
um, but yeah, but in general, as a rule on set and to my production heads, I try to do, and for Ashley, to not make her job impossible. I tried to do everything practical as much as possible because it's just funnier when we really ripped that wall out before all the prisoners come running out, or we really had a puppet of the snowman, that
hmm.
someone's not a VFX snowman. The more, or the crane, grabbing the
Yeah.
car, the more the stuff where you can feel like, oh, they did that. That's real. It's just so much better and so much funnier.
And
So,
you're
but
a
there are
direct.
tons of VFX because it's a modern movie. You're gonna have tons of VFX, but
Right. Well, as a co-writer and the director, and I know you wanted to get as much in camera as you could. At some point, did you say, "This has got to be a visual effect here"? Like, what were your thoughts there?
um,
Like, okay, I concede it's going to be digital in this case. We can't do that in camera. Anything in mind? Obviously, the hospital room, had a lot going on in it. Practical, the binoculars and stuff. Was
yeah,
there
again,
anything?
the hospital room, it was our biggest, most expensive build on the whole movie because they had to build an entire hospital that could have the walls fall down like Mission Impossible. But then outside of that, the room, the soundstage has to be huge enough that those walls can fall without hitting a second round of walls that
Hmm.
then have been rigged and built, and they have to be giant because now you're building a really big set to look like you're in a warehouse.
Hmm.
And those ones have to then go up to the ceiling. And those were all, and it's all real. And then the third is a VFX because it was a hologram wall.
That done in Atlanta as well?
Yes.
It
And
was.
anything inside,
Was
where you can't tell what city you're in, that then we're in Atlanta.
okay.
Uh, yeah. But so, yeah, that's a good example. Otherwise, it's like removing wires, stuff where you're like, the claw we really built that picks up the car and we really dropped the car, but there had to be safety wires and stuff. And,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
you got to erase those.
Thank you, Akiva, so much for your time and for your insight.
Hope
I
you got
look
that.
forward to sharing it with our audience.
Oh, of course. Thank you.
Great speaking with you. Hope we can talk down the road.
Yeah, likewise.
Bye bye, guys.